Thank you all for letting me speak tonight. My name is Paul Buisson. I'm running for House District 60, covers southeastern part of Rankin County. My top 3 issues are getting rid of Common Core. My opponent, John Moore, is the education chair, and he is very supportive of Common Core. With 2 boys in Rankin County schools, I can already see my younger son being penalized under Common Core. Since y'all are an educated group and well-informed, I'm not going to go into all the details of Common Core because you think you pretty much know it. My second issue I want to speak about, which is restoring our constitutional rights. Our country is unique. It's the only country in the world that recognizes that God gave rights to man. Every man, right? It's government's job to protect those rights. Government gets its just powers from the consent of the governed. We don't have a lot of that going on right now. Whether it's Obamacare, illegals and terrorists flooding across the border, indefinite detentions of citizens without charges, Common Core, and on and on. The majority of the American people do not support these actions. They no longer have our consent. The system is not working well at all. So, what can we do? Well, I believe, you'll hear politicians and people running for office saying, well, I believe in the Constitution, I believe in freedom, I believe in liberty. And those are all good things, and I do too. But you have to have solutions to it. You can't just go ahead and say it. So I've been searching for some solutions, real solutions. So I want to explain some of those solutions to you. First thing I want to do, you can go to my website and you'll see a draft legislation for Sheriff's First legislation. And what that does is, before a federal agent can take any action in the county, it has to get the written permission of the local sheriff. See, the local sheriff is elected by the local people, and he is accountable to those local people. The agencies, the bureaucrats that are unelected and unaccountable and were never constitutionally given the power to write law all the time. And we're all subject to it. But there's no oversight. And if the EPA comes to your property and says, hey, you see that bug? That looks endangered to me. You got to get out. You're gone. You don't have, constitutionally you have rights, but in reality, you're gone. So what are you going to spend the next 5 years in court? Spending tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars to prove that you already had the rights that the Constitution gave you? That's the way it's working right now because the states are allowing that to happen. The sheriffs in a lot of places, in most places, are allowing that to happen. When you have a bully, and I consider the federal government a bully, because they've got the power, and we don't. When the bully is breaking the rule is the Constitution. When the bully is breaking the rules, why do we as states and counties, why do we go to the bully and say, hey bully, is this fair? And the bully go, oh yeah, this is fair, you got to do what we say. No. We have a Constitution. That is the rule of law. The enumerated powers, which are listed on my website, that are in the Constitution, are reserved for the federal government. If it's outside the enumerated powers, it is reserved to the states. So if they are operating outside of the Constitution, and if an agency is writing rules that, again, the Constitution never gave the Congress the right to delegate that authority to somebody else, it's irrelevant. Those agencies are irrelevant. The rules they write are irrelevant. Executive powers and memos, they're irrelevant if they are not within the scope of the Constitution. In Mack Prince versus USA, the Supreme Court ruled, let me sure I get this straight, that the states and their subparts are not subject to federal direction. And Scalia wrote that different governments will control itself. So when the states and the counties just go along with whatever the federal government says their power is, instead of standing up to the federal government, we are giving them power that they do not deserve. So that is one solution that I have, is that the sheriff will have to do their job as part of the checks and balance system. The states and the sheriff are part of the checks and balance for the power because Congress isn't holding the executive in check. They're self-funding things. The Supreme Courts, many times, they're writing laws instead of ruling on laws. So I don't think it's radical to follow the Constitution, to follow the rule of law. Also, I would like to put a committee in charge of constitutional scholars in the state that would go through, and if they can't identify specific enumerated powers to the federal government, then those laws, executive orders, rulings, whatever, would be ignored. That the rule of law will be the Constitution. And the states will dictate to the federal government what they can do within the borders of our state. And again, why is it that the federal government gets to call all the shots? All the time, suits are filed in federal courts, you don't have standing. You don't have standing. Well, they can do that all day long. You don't have standing. Okay, well, we tried. Well, let's do it to them. You don't have standing. It's not an enumerated power. You do not have jurisdiction. We're going to ignore this. Call us when you're operating inside the law. So that's something I want to do to restore our Constitution. On the Second Amendment rights, I want to promote constitutional carry. If you are a legal, law-abiding citizen, you have the right to carry a gun any which way you want. And it's not the federal government's job to restrict that. I'm speaking to you tonight. I didn't have to go to the government and fill out forms and get approved to speak to you tonight. It's a fact. It's a given right. I'm exercising it. It should be no different for guns. If you're breaking the law with a gun, you pay the price. If you're not breaking the law, you should be left alone. I'm from New Orleans, where after Katrina hit, the police got the registered gun owners and went house to house seizing those legal guns. Government don't need to have a list of who's got weapons. Thank you. So that's two of my top three issues. I do want to comment. John Moore spoke last week, my opponent, and Bill 449, House Bill 449 came up. I'll call it the silence the teachers bill. It would have criminalized teachers from speaking on political issues on campus, even if it's on break or after school. And it would also criminalize school board members from speaking about any political issue at any time. Now, John Moore said he gave it to an attorney to write. The attorney screwed it up, and he killed it himself. A couple of things on that. If a bill had my name on it, first of all, I wouldn't wait till the session is going to ask an attorney to write it for me. I would plan it and build support during the off time, make sure it's written right, get the expert's opinion, because if I believe in it, I'm going to take the time to write it correctly. And then if I did get a page-and-a-half bill, I wouldn't put my name on it until I at least proofread it. So I don't buy it. I think the reason that bill was done, I think he knew it was going to die in committee. I think it was done to intimidate the teachers. I've got so many teachers and principals talking to me saying, we're so glad you're running. We can't stand John Moore, but I'm scared I'll be fired if I say anything. So I can't put a sign on my yard, but I'll vote for you. Today I even spoke to the mother of a teacher, and even she was afraid to put a sign in her yard, although I have her vote. That is not the way to run things. Everyone should be able to voice their opinion. If you disagree with me, that's fine. We can disagree, no problem. But you don't intimidate people into silence. So it's like you're going to cram a comment cord down your throat, and if you talk about it, we'll throw you in jail. That's the wrong message. Things are going very well campaign-wise. 4 out of every 5 people that I've talked to commit to voting for me. The other 20% usually will say they're undecided, so maybe they're going to my opponent. My big challenge is getting the message out. If I can get the message out, my opponent is toast. He doesn't have a mathematical chance of winning, but he's got the money and I don't. So either I need money to get the message out, or volunteers to get the message out, or both. So if anyone wants to help fund my campaign, unfortunately, no message, no votes, no victory. So if you like what you heard tonight, if you like the idea of freedom and liberty, I need money, I need volunteers. That's just the way it is. Because I don't, after the $7,000 I put out of my pocket, I don't have any more. My wife won't let me spend any more on that. Thank y'all. Appreciate it.